I wasn't supposed to remember any of this. But the dreams won't stop. And the more I remember, the more I realize we were never meant to leave. My name is Javier. My girlfriend Carla and I had been backpacking through Asia for 6 months. By the time we reached Taiwan, we were tired but happy. Taipei felt alive, neon rain, steam from night markets, the hum of scooters. We were in love. Stupid, blind tourist love. The museum wasn't on any map. At least, not the one we remembered looking at. We found it on a side street near Don Park, tucked between a laundromat and a closed noodle shop. The sign was in faded gold lettering. Museum of Forgotten Objects. No English translation. No opening hours. Just a dark doorway and the smell of old paper. Carla wanted to go in. She always loved oddities. I followed because that's what you do when you're in love. You walk into places you shouldn't. The first room was normal enough. Dusty glass cases, yellowed labels in Chinese, a few old coins and porcelain shards. But the second room, the air changed. It got heavy like breathing through wet cotton. The lights flickered once, then settled into a dim amber glow. In the center of that room stood a single display case. Inside was a mirror, except it wasn't reflecting us. It was reflecting a different room. Darker, older. I saw wooden shelves lined with jars. And inside the jars, shapes. Not organs. Not fetuses. Something in between. Something that twitched. Carla touched the glass. That was her mistake. That was mine too, because I didn't stop her. The mirror rippled. Not like water, like skin. And then we heard it. A whisper that came from everywhere and nowhere. Not in Chinese. Not in Spanish. But somehow we understood. You saw us. Now we see you. We ran. Of course we ran. But the museum had changed. Hallways stretched. Doors led to rooms we'd never passed. Once I turned a corner and saw myself, a younger Javier, backpacking in Barcelona, laughing. But my eyes were black. Holla! And he smiled. Carla screamed. I grabbed her hand and pulled her toward a fire exit. The door opened not to the street, but to a garden. A garden at midnight, even though we'd entered at 2 p.m. The trees were bamboo, but twisted. Their leaves made sounds like whispered prayers. In the center of the garden stood a well, and standing around the well were figures. Not ghosts. Not people. They wore clothes from different decades. A 1940s military coat, a 1980s tracksuit, a Ming Dynasty robe. But their faces were smooth, featureless, like mannequins that had forgotten to be human. One of them turned its blank head toward Carla, and Carla opened her mouth. But no sound came out. Then her eyes went wide, and she walked toward the well. I grabbed her, shook her. She looked at me for 1 second, really looked with recognition and terror, and whispered, "Javi, don't let them take my voice." Then her face smoothed over, and she walked again. I followed her into the well. That's how stupid love is. Falling took hours. Or seconds. Time didn't work there. When I landed, I was in a room full of jars. The same ones from the mirror. And inside each jar was a mouth. Just mouths. Some open, some closed, some whispering silently. Carla was kneeling in the center. A figure, tall, thin, with too many joints, was leaning over her. It reached into her throat. Not violently, gently like a surgeon, and pulled out something glowing. A thread of light. Her voice. The figure turned to me. It had no face, but I felt it smile. It held up the thread and said, using my own voice, "Thank you for bringing her." We were hungry for new stories. I lunged, but my body stopped. I could think, I could feel, but I couldn't move. The figure touched my throat. And the last thing I remember is the sensation of being pulled inside out. Not painfully, but as if every memory, Every laugh, every fight, every whispered te quiero was being read aloud by someone else. I woke up here, wherever here is, a replica of our Airbnb, but the windows show only static. Carla sits across from me. She smiles. She talks, but her voice isn't hers. It's a patchwork. A 1940s man's voice, a child's laugh, a snippet of a news broadcast from 1987. She doesn't know she's wrong. She thinks we're still on vacation. She asked me this morning using a dead woman's accent, "Javi, should we go back to the museum today?" I said yes, because I'm not Javier anymore. I'm just a mouth, and mouths don't say no to the ones who feed them. If you ever visit Taipei, avoid the side street near Don Park. Don't look for the gold letters. And if your lover says, "Let's go inside," run. Or better yet, scream, while you still have a voice to lose. We'll be waiting, in the jars, in the mirror, in the well, and we're very, very hungry for tourists.